Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar on the Green Kitchen Standard. Just before we get started, I just want to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's webinar. So you've joined the presentation listening using your computer speaker system by default. If you prefer to join over telephone, you can just select telephone in the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed. We're going to have an interactive Q&A session towards the end of today's webinar. You'll have the opportunity to submit your questions either by clicking on the raise your hand button, and if you do this we can then unmute you and invite you to ask your question to today's presenter. Alternatively, you can type your questions into the questions pane any time during the presentation. We'll then collect these and address them during the Q&A at the end, or if we don't have time we can address them afterwards by email. Okay, so now I would like to introduce Liz Harding-Wyatt from the Soil Association. Hi, Liz.
Hi everyone, and thank you for joining our Green Kitchen Standard webinar. I hope you find the information throughout the webinar useful today. We're hoping to take you on a journey to support you in working out how to use less resources in the kitchen, and the Green Kitchen Standard being the framework to use, why using less resources is important, and hearing from others I think is important, not just to listen to me preaching on about the Green Kitchen Standard, but those in the education sector living and breathing it. We'll send you the slides with all the information and links in the follow-up to the webinar. So if we go through any slides too quickly and you missed a link, don't worry, we'll follow up with you afterwards. Firstly, a bit about me. My name's Liz Harding-Wyatt and I've worked with the Soil Association for over 10 years, working on different food projects and different sectors. And today I've come to talk to you today about the Green Kitchen Standard. And that is our formula, not only to reducing resources in the kitchen, but making them stay down as well. Just trying to click through. So today, a quick intro into the Green Kitchen Standard, who are the Soil Association and the Carbon Trust, why use resources, what the benefits are, and using the Green Kitchen Standard to combat single-use plastics as a bit of a case study. We've got some guest speakers today before we talk about the cost, the summary, and do our question and answer at the end. So the Soil Association is the UK's leading membership charity campaigning for healthy, humane and sustainable food, farming and land use. And the Soil Association certification, the subsidiary of that, is the largest organic certification body in the UK. So you can see our wealth of experience. We also run the Food for Life Served Here Award, which certifies 1.8 million meals across the country, served in schools, universities, hospitals and care homes. And the Carbon Trust, the partner that we're working with on the Green Kitchen Standard, focuses on driving bottom line business benefits in order to deliver long-term environmental sustainability. They advise businesses on reducing carbon and support businesses on measuring their carbon use and offer carbon certification too. But for more on our organisations and the background and the starting point to the Green Kitchen Standard, do take a look on the website there. One of the reasons Green Kitchen Standard was invented was to support businesses in meeting DEFRA's plan for public procurement and the balanced scorecard for energy, water and waste. So the balanced scorecard provides a clear and consistent method for procurement of food and catering services across the government, and it balances out the quality and the cost. It also includes requirements of the government buying standards and help set out what's good and excellent in terms of procurement, going beyond the minimum standards and acting as a driver for continuous improvement. So working with the Green Kitchen Standard framework can support you to meeting this resource efficiency section of it. And why is kitchen sustainability so important? So 1 tonne of carbon costs at least £200 from electricity and even more from diesel as well. And not only does efficient use of resources have less impact on the environment, they are expensive. So reducing the resources we use helps the environment, but helps our margins too. And then some other stats, around 30% of the UK's CO2 emissions come from food production and distribution. And on average, energy costs make up almost a quarter of overheads for the restaurant and catering industry. So we need to keep this consumption down, keep our costs down as well, and we'll go into that a little bit more shortly. 1 cubic metre of water costs up to £6, but there's also the cost to pump, heat and cool it as well. And with food waste, the cost of food waste is wasted in the UK from the hospitality and food sector was estimated at £3 billion per year, which averages out at around £10,000 per outlet, or 18% of all food purchased in the sector. So food waste is throwing your money away. You know, could you imagine putting 18% of food that you buy straight in the bin before it even gets to the customer? So why do we think it's okay afterwards? The Green Kitchen Standard will support you to address these statistics and reduce energy, water and waste in the kitchen. And WRAP have some great resources as part of your business's food initiative, which I'll signpost to you later on in the webinar as well. So you've come here to hear about the Green Kitchen Standard. What is it? So it's a flexible questionnaire-based standard which requires a 60% pass. The flexibility means you can focus on all areas of strength. All catering operations are different, so the Green Kitchen Standard has been designed to be flexible and to only assess areas that you have control over, particularly if you're a host building or you don't own the premises or the equipment. That's not a barrier to achieving the award. There are some mandatory standards around energy, water and waste policies, recycling for staff and customers, tap water available and promoted and excluding pre-bottled water from hospitality menus, plus a food waste minimisation plan. So they're the requirements that you would need to undertake, but the rest is totally flexible around your catering practice. And as you work through the standard and the framework, you can see what you may need to be implemented in your business to become more resource efficient. So it's not about gaining certification. Well, it's not just about gaining certification for all the hard work you've done, but gaining the accreditation itself will support you on the journey to becoming more resource efficient. So if you've been listening so far and thought, do you know what, we do a lot of this already, well, the Green Kitchen Standard will help you show that off. And if you're like, oh, we do need a little bit of help, then the Green Kitchen Standard is your answer as well. We've got some examples of things that you can do to meet the Green Kitchen Standard. It's kind of a bit like this. You can pick those that you can do and work on those that you're not quite doing yet, maybe for next time. And like I say, all catering operations are different. And we can support you along the way with guidance as well and take you step by step through the standard. So the Green Kitchen Standard has 7 main sections, and the 8th being a site visit. And all of these are to support you in saving resources in the kitchen to make it become part of everyday life rather than a new fad forgotten with a few months' time. You may already do parts of this, but doing it really well is using all of these sections, and attacking your resource use from all different directions is the most effective way to keep the costs down and keep it embedded in your organisation as well. So a quick run through of what they all mean. Management and policies. Having policies and procedures and members of staff to look after them will create a consistency of decision making. Do you have energy, water and waste policies? Are your senior management on board? Policies are the foundations for all of your sustainability and reduction in resource use, and you need energy, water and waste policies in place as part of the Green Kitchen Standard. Communications, communicating with staff and customers regularly about your environmental policies and initiatives will help you score Green Kitchen points. It could be through newsletters, emails, staff meetings, and this supports one of your most valuable resources, your staff, to be understanding of any changes made and be right behind them. All organisations are communicating with staff, so it should be quite straightforward to include it into your messages. Monitoring and measuring. So do you know how much energy or water you use on a typical day? Once you know what you use and when, you can then start making improvements. And if you don't own your buildings or equipment, you don't have sub-meters, they're useful to help gain points with the Green Kitchen Standard, but not essential. So you could look at different ways of monitoring, like dishwasher loads or keeping staff informed about certain energy requirements. And then once you know what you're using, it's a case of setting reasonable and achievable targets, creating a food waste minimisation plan, and the option to sign up to RAP's Coulthard agreement, which is a collective agreement to cut the amount of resources needed to provide our food and drink. Staff training, hopefully you do a lot of this already, and this would be a case of introducing environmental training on energy, water and waste responsibilities through induction, refresher training, and maybe external training as well. This would really give staff confidence and knowledge to reduce their energy use. Training will help you get staff on board as well with the knowledge of why. I think that's really important, and staff are a valuable resource. We've got the operations side of things, so you can score points for a variety of different actions: energy champions, switch off policies, maintenance of equipment, donating food, and composting food waste as well. Then the procurement of the products that you buy. This links with the balanced scorecard as well. Do you have environmentally friendly packaging, paper products, takeaway products? How you transport food between sites as well. And then to end on the site visit, so evidencing all the information that we've seen, making sure equipment is clean, working well, and that staff understand the environmental implications through the training and comms and such that they've been doing. So essentially that's the Green Kitchen Standard. We've got support from us to apply and using this framework. Then you can implement changes, submit evidence, have your site visit, and then you get expert recommendations from the Carbon Trust. You're able to say your strengths, your weaknesses, and your next steps year on year. And compare with others. You can see from the graph here how overall performance and how performance has been against other caterers. Now, to put it into practice, single-use plastics is something that is really big out there at the moment, and you can see why. It's quite a crisis, and some scientists estimate that 8 million tonnes of plastic end up in our oceans each year. So that's the equivalent of a rubbish truck dumping it into the ocean every minute, and that's on the increase. Scientists have also said that by 2050 there will be more plastic in the oceans than there are fish. We've all seen Blue Planet and we've all heard about the effect, and we do use plastic in kitchens. So how can we use the Green Kitchen Standard to address this? So using the 7 sections policies, having plastic and waste policies that will form the foundation, communications, telling staff and informing customers about changes always help. Monitoring, so if you know how much you're using, you can set realistic targets. And food waste as well. If you're buying in too much food, you're creating more packaging. So if you're able to reduce the food waste as much as possible, you're then reducing the amount of food you're buying in and therefore the packaging as well. Targets, again, having something to work towards. The food waste side of things as well is really keen. And training, so making sure staff are aware of what, why, how, and the bigger picture as well. Operations, so reducing pre-bottled water, having drinking water freely available, recycling points for staff and customers to recycle the plastic you do use rather than it going to landfill. Look at the products and work with suppliers. So if you're ordering 500 grams, can you order a kilo? And instead of having 2 packs, just 1, if that's something you're able to do. And then the procurement, the front of house containers, keep cups, plastic cutlery and takeaway containers as well. So you can see that it really gives you the framework to focus in on one area. And then the Green Kitchen Standard brings all of these different areas together. So not just plastics, food waste, energy, water as well. So you've heard from me on how Green Kitchen Standard can support you. And we've got a few case studies for you today from the education sector. We've also got some feedback from previous or existing award holders from a couple of hospitals, university as well. Also, an application in the pipeline from Wilson Jones, a school caterer, who are really excited at the opportunity of working with the Green Kitchen Standard. And you can see that's a little quote from Alison there. Now I'd like to introduce our most recent Green Kitchen Standard achiever, Aramark at the University of Westminster. We've got Nathan Johnson on the phone. Nathan, welcome. We'd love you to take a few minutes to tell us why you wanted to apply for Green Kitchen and how it supported Aramark and the University of Westminster.
Hi guys, so yeah, we've literally got the Green Kitchen Award on this Monday. We had our celebration hour, which was really good. It got a good buzz. As you can see, the photo on the left there, that is a good mix of Aramark and the university staff, and it really got the message across to them that we're actually making inroads into the changing our attitudes and how we're going to look after the planet. We found the Green Kitchen Award was actually, maybe simple is the wrong word to use, but it wasn't over challenging. Because you can sort of concentrate on what you do best and then what you need to bring up to that standard rather than everything, it sort of meant that it was achievable. We were very lucky at the university that we have a really good relationship with the university because, as I'm sure some of you've got, because we're in their building, sometimes it's hard to get the feedback you need from the waste people, the electric people, but as a team, we worked really well on it. So yeah, it was good. At the moment, I'm in the middle of freshers, so I'm sort of hiding in a cupboard at the moment to try and get some peace and quiet to do this call. And already we're starting to see the buzz coming off the side of it, where we're being able to use the Green Kitchen Standard logo as we're making changes. So for example, for today, we've took away all the plastic containers for the salad bars, replaced it all with bowls, put up a sign saying, you know, salad's healthy for you, now let's be healthy for the planet. If you would like a takeaway container, please ask a member of staff, but it means it's not the first option. And sometimes before we do things like this, and the first sort of answer was, oh, they're trying to save money. But now by linking it in with that green standard, they can see there's a little bit more to the picture. So yeah, really, all I can really say is it's been a good experience. We're using it to move onwards. We're looking into getting the Food for Life bronze standard next. And yeah, it's been really good.
Fab, thanks Nathan, and I think that's really keen. It's not just about taking the takeaway containers and leaving everyone a bit baffled. It's educating and signposting and communicating the reasons why as well. So, and it's a brave move at the beginning of term. So hopefully, actually, that's just what everyone's used to, and I can imagine it would have quite an impact on your waste as well. So I look forward to hearing about the effects of that. So well done, and thank you for joining us today. And we've also got another guest speaker today from the schools background. We've got Nigel. Welcome again. He's from Caterlink, Islington, and serves quite a lot of primary schools across the borough. So Nigel, have you got a couple of minutes? Could you tell us why you wanted to apply for Green Kitchen and how it supported Caterlink and your students?
Sure. Welcome everybody. The Green Kitchen Standard. Well, basically, a little bit about ourselves in Islington. We serve 13,000 school meals a day across 60 odd sites. We had a Gold Food for Life standard. We wanted to stand out from the crowd as we went through a tender process initially. What can we do differently? The borough, Islington Borough, are very much environmentally minded. So we partnered the borough and looked at what can we do. And we looked at the Green Kitchen Standard, focused on 2 or 3 areas, obviously the energy, water and waste, and how can we measure each of them. And as I already mentioned earlier on, how can we measure water without a meter, etc. So we actually got all of our kitchen managers, 60 odd kitchen managers together in a training and spoke to them and enrolled them all into the system, into the loving the environment realistically and looking after the environment. So we measured our water by how many dishwasher cycles we actually done. We measured our waste, not only by our waste in the kitchen, but measure of the number of recyclable food waste bags we was actually using a day. Energy, well, just good practice across the kitchen. One of our principles was, if you do it in the house, do it in the workplace. You won't leave the light on in the house, you leave the don't leave the light on or energy on in the kitchen. And it worked really, really well. There was a couple of difficult situations as we were going through the process, because we was on a learning process. But I must say, the Carbon Trust and the guys around there really helped us out, really gave us some ideas, and were really, really supportive. And it wasn't as bad. The hardest thing was over the multi-site, getting everybody on board. I mean, it's been a real good learning process, and it really helps us with the client relationship as well. We've now gone on a journey of reducing cling film in our kitchens. Oh, wow, all caterers will turn around and say, well, how can you reduce cling film? There's lots of little ways. You just got to think about it and work effectively to a target, measuring from where you start and how you're going to get there.
Great.
Well,
oh, sorry, carry on, Nigel.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, that sounds exactly like we'll be coming back to you to get a case study on the cling film side of things, because it's so new and so different. So yeah, we'd be keen to talk to you on that.
Yeah, again, what we've done is the pyramid situation. You start with one school or one site, and or even if you've got a multi-department, start in one department of a kitchen and measure how much they're using to start with, then take on that target, then take on 2 or 3. What we've done is we've done one school, 13 schools, 18 schools, and now we're trying to do it across the whole of the schools on the cling film.
Fab. Thank you so much, Nigel. It's really great to hear how you've approached it when you've had barriers of not having sub-meters and still achieved it, and how it set you apart for tenders. I know others will be keen to hear more about that as well at some point, but thank you very much. And this leads me on to the benefits, other benefits of the Green Kitchen Standard. So like I say, setting yourself apart, or not as I say, as Nigel says, reducing the resources and supporting the environment, reducing costs as well, and demonstrating that you're meeting the balanced scorecard. The certification side of things means you really are doing something to increase your resource sustainability. Lots of businesses boast about their work and their green credentials, but do they have evidence? And this is hard evidence that you're doing something positive for the environment. So all of those benefits there. Some resources for you as well, like I've mentioned a couple of times, WRAP have got some good food waste resources, the Carbon Trust with carbon calculators, and of course the support that Nigel's mentioned from the Soil Association, so we can go into detail with you about how you can achieve the Green Kitchen Standard. The costs run from £2,500 from a single site, then an additional site fee, but discounts are available if you have participated in this webinar, to pop that on your application form, because we can offer you a 10% discount. And if you are a Food for Life Served Here award holder, then we're again able to offer you a 10% discount. Hopefully the benefits outweigh the costs, and the savings that you make really outweigh that. So overall, the Soil Association and Carbon Trust, this is our formula to reducing resource use and cost in the kitchen. It's independent certification, but still on a flexible questionnaire-based standard. And you get an independent audit, recognition for your hard work, expert feedback, and marketing support as well. Like Nathan mentioned, straight away, students are interested now. They're seeing the Green Kitchen Standard logo for the first time back at starting university this year. And it set you apart from the rest. So I hope that was useful for you. A little quote there from Morgan Jones. Again, this is behaviour which we need, and the contact details for you. Now I think we're kind of ready to take on a few questions just before the session ends. So if you're able to put your hand up, which is clicking a button on the control panel that you have, you can see a little hand if you would like to ask some questions, or if you'd like to use the chat function at the bottom.
Hi there, we've got a question from Matthew Burnell. I'll just unmute you, and if you'd like to ask your question, you can go ahead.
Hiya, thanks for doing this today. I've just got a question really. I've been working in the hospitality industry for a well-known hostel association, and I've been trying for a while to get them to change their ways, but I've been held up as a frustration by management and senior management. And I just wondered if you had any advice for people lower down on the food chain who can see changes that should happen, but can't quite get the message across to the decision makers.
So I suppose it's showing them maybe some savings, or doing what you can in the kitchen and showing and highlighting the impact. As much communication as you can outward to your customers to create a bit of a buzz. Maybe using case studies of other organisations. I don't know if Nigel or Nathan are on the phone, if they've ever come across that. I know the University of Westminster, actually, it was coming top down as much as bottom up as well. But it's just, it is going to be hard work. Hopefully, as Green Kitchen Standard gets busy, it might start causing an impact that way. If there's any major policies coming out, like with the plastic side of things, that starts to help people sit up and take notice. So hopefully it's something that comes from all angles. And just keep going, Matthew. It sounds tough, but shout about what you do, blow your own trumpet, and keep on going, really.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, sorry.
Hello?
Hello?
It's Nigel. I just want to speak to Matthew, or to the seminar, basically, regarding Matthew's comment there from the top upwards, or top downwards. I had the reverse effect, realistically. It was from the down upwards. It was from the catering assistants, general assistants, and they didn't understand why we was doing it. And again, it's actually just making everybody aware. And as Liz said, it's the communication. It has to be can-do review, the standards all the time, and you'll get your message across. A little bit of encouragement, realistically.
Thanks, Nigel. Any other questions?
We've got a couple of questions that have come through. One is it a yearly accreditation? And the other is this limited to the UK?
Thanks. Yes, so this is an annual accreditation, and the idea is that you get over 60% in the first year, but you've still got a lot of the framework that you haven't completed yet, or you haven't quite done. So the idea is that you may achieve 60% the first year, and you can aim to go higher and higher each year. So yes, it's an annual accreditation and an annual fee as well. And at the moment, it is just in the UK. We only launched this 2017, so last year, but we hope to be able to expand that further in the future. And I know the Carbon Trust work very much globally, so we hope to be able to use their frameworks to expand at some point in the future.
Okay, great. And we've got one last question. Are there key pieces of kitchen equipment which, when upgraded, will save significant amounts of energy or water?
Yeah, I can imagine so. Lots of kitchens inherit a lot of old equipment, which can go on for a very long time. But investing in particularly things like dishwashers, which use water and energy, having efficient, and what the Green Kitchen Standard encourages you to do is to look at life cycle. So a piece of equipment may be more expensive, but actually may last longer and cost you less with the water and the energy as it goes. I'm not quite sure if there's a particular piece of equipment. So if you had to pick one, what would it be? Nathan, Nigel, have you come across anything which you think is the most important in your kitchens?
Yes. Oh, Nigel, do you want to go first?
Go for it.
Yeah. So again, the whole equipment, I think I'd probably agree with you. One of the main would be obviously your dishwashers and your ovens. But unfortunately, all of us know in this industry, we'd love to go out to our clients or our bosses and say, can I have 100 grand to spend on our kitchen? But what I was going to point out here is the nice thing that Green Kitchen does, again, is with that training, it's getting the most of what you got. It's not putting half dishwashers on. It's not preheating your oven for an hour before you put anything in it. So there's sort of small changes you can do, but don't get me wrong, if you've got a boss that's got some money for you, go for a new dishwasher.
Fab.
only thing I might add to that is refrigeration. Make sure you get the highest rating on the fridging. If you're able to supply quotations to your clients, supply like for like, but do the background work on it. Make sure you get the best ratings.
Great. Thanks, Nathan. Thanks, Nigel. Hopefully that answers the question.
Okay, great. Thanks everyone for listening to today's webinar. I hope you found it useful and interesting. Again, as Liz mentioned, the slides will be available after the presentation. And if you have any questions for Liz, her contact details are on the screen, so feel free to get in touch with her. Thanks again, Liz, for your presentation, and thanks for our speakers as well today. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye.